Here, Brian Sangala, events specialist, with this week's episode of Talanoa Moana, where we highlight, share an amazing story within our Pasifika diaspora. This evening, we are joined by the incredible Anthony Laime Mata'utia Solomona, former New Zealand Police Senior Sergeant and now Pacific Student Success Consultant at AUT. After 2 decades in frontline policing, Tony pursued higher education, earning multiple degrees in Pasifikology. His journey spans service, learning, and cultural advocacy with a focus on empowering Pacific youth through education and identity. A very warm welcome, my friend, Marlos Refor. Thank you so much for your time tonight. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey, and this evening, because we are both staunch Queensland supporters, and this evening the decider in Sydney, why don't we join hands? You pass that other hand, and on 3, the Billy Moore Queenslander. 1, 2, 3, Queenslander. Yeah.
I would have worn my shirt if I'd known.
Okay then. Firstly, highlighting your villages, Awhaleasi'u, Vaimoso, Papa sa Taua, sa Fune, Tufuyopa, Alepata, and sa Papali'i, and of course married to the amazing Ida Malosi, New Zealand Principal Youth Court Judge, 3 children, and your dog Simpson and cat Luna. I like that. Nothing to do with La Luna back in the day, eh?
No. There's a story about it, I'll tell you later.
Okay. Well, thank you again so much for joining us also. And firstly, tell us, let's start with your current role at AUT. You are a Pacific Student Success Consultant at AUT with Pacific Support Services. Tell us a bit more about that and the responsibilities or the responsibilities your role entails.
Okay. I just need to do a proper welcome before I start.
Okay? Yeah, of course.
Ka tangi te titi, ka tangi te kaka, ka tangi hoki wauti hei mauri ora. Ko raurangi tēnā mā, tēnā koe. Tēnā koutou katoa. Nō reira kapiti ono tātai hono o rātou taunga ora ki a rātou. Kapiti ono tātai hono o rātou taunga mata ki a rātou. Haere, haere, haere. Inai nei me huri ki te reo Pasifika. Kia rana katoa toa. Whakalawai atu ki motoro osi. Nisan polvinaka e namaste. Halo keta, kam na Māori. Oko o tautau ki motoro, he wafo sisu kalaisi ko tō e whakamoi malo pito. Ia, o te whaatalo whatu, i lo sunga maa Brian, o lo talau mai o whamanui nei tanuanga nei pō, malo la Pacific Moment, langi mama. Warm Pacific greetings to you. I make it a point to always acknowledge any meeting or any tanuanga with acknowledging Tangata Whenua because they allow us to be who we are here. So first acknowledgement always goes to Tangata Whenua. And you're married to one, so I thought it's appropriate.
Thank you. Thank you. I mentioned your wife. Yeah, okay, feel very good.
Yeah. So that's the welcome. And so what was that question you were going to say?
Okay. Your current role as Pacific Consultant is part of the Pacific Support Services at AUT. Tell us more about that.
Okay, so it's a role... the title's too long. I don't like the title, but it is what it is. So I'm basically there to support any Pacifica student studying at university. So we give them pastoral support, academic support. We advocate for them when things happen. Like a lot of our students don't struggle because of the academic workload. They struggle because they don't know how to balance their home life with their studies and whatever comes up. So that's basically my role, to make sure that they get through. Yeah.
Any sort of parallels from your time in the front line, community service, and your current role at AUT?
Probably the biggest thing, and what I still teach to a lot of the students, is that if you get your time management right, the rest of it will fall into place. And when you talk about time management, it's not just managing your papers, it's managing the fact that we've got a 21st coming up in a couple of weeks. Someone gets sick, there's going to be a funeral, and as Pacific, we got to go. There's no, can we go? We know we got to go. So you need to prepare for those things. It's the curveballs that life's going to throw you that you need to get ready for.
Let's talk a bit about the family, because with all Pasifika, that is our foundation, faith, family, and then everything else. Tell us about your amazing family, beginning with your parents. Dad, the piano man, or Panda was another nickname.
Actually, He got Panda because one of the grandchildren didn't know how to call him Granddad, so they called him Panda, and it stuck with him. So even on the tombstone, there's a picture of a panda. That
Oh wow!
actually most of the other friends and family who grew up in church know him as Panda.
Yeah.
So he got that name. But yeah, that was he was a musician. He was
Wow.
a piano player, so that's how he got the nickname the Piano Man. Like I said before, so he was one of the first organists for PRC Newton in Auckland, and moved to Wellington because his cousin was the new minister of the church, Reverend Okise. And so he went down to be the organist there. And so that's how we all ended up down there. Most of us kids, we got into piano lessons, but then the boys all fell away because it was always on Saturdays and we were playing rugby. So the girls kept going. So the girls are really good at the piano.
Yeah.
Us not so much.
Okay.
But yeah, music was a big part of growing up.
So you're the second youngest of 6 children, 2 brothers, whaiwhi ao, 3 older sisters who still treat you like a 12-year-old,
Yes.
you reckon, yeah?
They're probably going to see this and tell me off later. Yeah.
Good.
Like I'm turning 61 soon, and I still get treated like I'm 12 when I see the girls.
So. What's their nickname I read? Bonge or what is it? Bonge? B-O-G-E. What?
Oh, Bogue.
Bogue. Where's that come from?
No, it's a long story.
We're not gonna go. Okay. So a proud Wellingtonian, born and raised there in Newtown, the original, the Ponsonby of Wellington. And then what's your earliest formative memories of growing up in Newtown as well?
That we all knew the neighbours, so we played on the streets. It was safe. We'd stay out till late at night and still get home. Yeah, like we even left our key on the door, and it was a safe place. It's so different from what we have now. But yeah, it was cool. Like we knew all the neighbours. I don't think you'll get that now.
No.
Everyone knows the neighbours and stuff. But yeah.
Rongotai College, yes, proud. And Poneke, so your first love, rugby union?
Yeah, it was Poneke.
Yeah.
Rugby.
First 15 captain?
For 1 year, yeah. First 15 captain.
Nice. What was your guys' record when you were first 15 captain?
Oh, don't worry about the record. I know that
you guys played with Mana, eh?
Yeah, and people like Artie, he followed up. He was a first team captain.
Come on, there you go. Was it Mata went there as well?
Mata was there. Mata was there. Julian. Who else was there? I don't know if you know Richard Watt. Well, he's the coach of the Bay Plenty side now. No,
I had a principal at Rangikura. His name was Mr. Watt. W-A-T-T?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Richard was good. Richard's one of those Balangi boys. He was like brown on the inside. He was like one of us.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool.
Cool. You joined the police force. You go training at the police college in Porirua. What led to that? Do you have many family in the force at the time, or what was the inspiration behind that move?
I think it was just like I was helping a friend who wanted to join.
Yeah.
So I was helping him to study, and he failed. And so I thought I'm just going to go and have a try because I was practicing, and then I felt really bad because I came back to work. I said, "Oh, so I actually got in the police." And so, yeah, it was kind of an awkward time. But yeah, it was actually my 2 brothers wanted to join the police, not me.
Wow.
But they ended up with the ministry. So it was kind of funny how I ended up. I was the naughty one. So.
Yeah. So you graduate and you were posted to an area where you didn't even put down as a preference.
The deep, dark south of Auckland.
Man.
Although I'm happy now, but back then I was thinking, I've never been there. And
what do you know about South Auckland before coming?
That was really dangerous. That was what I remember.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was full of crime, but I loved that. It was like I lived there and police there and felt safe there. So yeah.
What you learn in the force, all the different skills, but then having the, marrying it up with the real life, front life experience, and what was the biggest difference from your training to actually being out on the front line?
Oh yeah, everything you learned at the police college was a waste of time. It had nothing to do with what real life was about.
Awesome.
So when I became a boss, I would say to people, everything you learn at college, forget it, because it's probably going to get you hurt.
Yeah.
And the police college is like it's all scenarios. It's just there's nothing real about it.
Wow.
And so you learn when you get out in the streets. And people used to always say, if you end up a year in South Auckland was worth 3 years anywhere else. That's how you build your experience. So yeah.
I always ask police officers or former police officers also about the whole trying to balance the things that you see, which can be quite horrific on a daily basis, versus what we see maybe on TV or that. For you, and especially as you started having children, and then how did you deal with the navigating that the mental well-being and keeping yourself and your family safe?
Yeah, I don't think I know I didn't handle it well because we didn't have anything back then. So when you saw bad things, you were just basically told to harden up or go to the police bar and drink. That's how they used to get rid of all their problems.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a big drinker. And so I found other ways. So I found like playing league and having friends outside the police helped.
Yeah.
That was very important. My faith was really important to get me through, because there had some really dark moments, and had it not been for my faith, I don't think I would have got through it. So you don't want to, it's a weird one, because you don't want to bring it home, so you don't talk to your wife or your family about it, because you don't want them to see the absolutely worst parts of human nature that you see in the police. So.
I'll briefly touch on this, a particular case in 2004, which gained national acclaim. And looking back, for you, was there anything that you felt in terms at the time when it was being bandied about in media that you thought, no, that's not right, but you had to sort of keep your silence and just keeping your family safe again?
Was that in relation to
the court case?
Yeah, it was a difficult time, because you want to say things, but I think a lot of it, you want to protect your family too. And it probably didn't help that, my poor wife was in a really high profile job too. And so, my kids were so young. I just remember my son coming home one day and someone said to him, "Oh, your dad's famous, he's on TV."
Oh.
And I didn't know what to say. And I was like, "Man, what do you say to your son then?" And so, I think even now, I haven't really sat down with my kids and said, this is what happened during my time, but it probably needs to come.
Yeah.
They're probably old enough now, but they were too young for me to talk to them about sort of stuff.
Talk to me about this amazing woman, Ida Malosi, and your 3 children, and Samson and Luna, and what family means to you also.
Oh, yeah, I got lucky. And I tell them, I married up. It's like
the Invercargill Lotto.
Yeah. And at times when I started to doubt my own faith, there's got to be a God, because why would he put someone that good with me? And so, I sometimes wonder why she's with me. But then,
you're being serious when you say that.
Yeah.
Oh, sis.
I don't know what she's doing with me, but I guess my contributions that I've given the 3 beautiful children too. So
come on,
I feel like I played a wee bit of a part. But I sometimes think if my daughter came home, because I wasn't working when she met me.
Wow.
And so and she's at university studying law, and then her mum goes, "Who's that?" And she's, "It's my boyfriend." He said, "What does he do?" Nothing. He goes, "I'll get rid of him." I would have said exactly the same thing if my daughter came home with a guy. So my mother-in-law, God bless her, the fact that she treated me so well when we went to get married. So
photo before we came on, you were telling us a little bit about a photo of both your parents, and you didn't know.
So there was always this photo of a wedding, a couple getting married in our house, and I just recognized my mum, but I didn't know who the people. And then I think my wife and I were dating for about just under a year, and she saw the photo and she goes, "Why are my parents wedding photo?" And I said, "Oh, there's your parents." Fine. And so
rugby was your first passion, but then the league quickly took over when you moved up to Auckland. Richmond, what is it? Richmond Rovers go the Bulldogs there, and also the rugby police rugby league teams that they used to have back in the day. So what was it? Station of Origin? You had a few years.
And South Auckland dominated for 8 years straight. We did the Maroons
Come on.
against the Central Police.
It's just like going to happen tonight. Eh? Come on, don't leave me hanging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just a good way of, that was actually how we dealt with a lot of the trauma and stresses that we were so close as a group, and we had our league. That was our outlet. Just smashed the Central Cops. That made us feel better.
But then the game which I only just remember doing a bit of research for our Talanoa, the game between Manukau Police and the Black Power back in 1989 or 1990, held at the rugby or Otahu rugby union club, that little bowl there down from Otahu. So your cousin Moana, Tyrone Malaisili Lawrenson played a big part in bringing that together, or it was his brainchild?
Yeah, well, he was one of the first Pacific inspectors, so he was a ranking officer, and we pretty much would just do whatever he said. Because he also tricked us into playing the prisoners, the prisons, and he told us it was the prison officers. And then 10 minutes before the game started, he said, just let you know I lied. It's actually the prisons. And then he goes, but if you want to pull out now, we're going to pull out And so his idea was we raise money for telephone.
Yeah.
And man, it feels like so long. People don't even know what telephone is. But I remember we raised like $4,500, which is like a lot of money back then.
Yeah. 1990,
I remember it was Whariwaka was the captain of he was the president of the Black Power.
Oh my gosh.
And so at the end of the game, there was a lot of good sort of feelings going on after the game. But they couldn't come up to the police bar. So our team went to the Black Power pad.
Wow.
In Otahu.
Man.
And we had a couple of drinks and had some food with them just to break bread. And it was really fun. Like that. So normally we're kicking the doors down to come in here, but they actually invited us in. So I think it changed a lot of the perceptions that Gary had of the police back then.
Yeah.
That actually, when you take away the patches or the uniform, we're just a whole bunch of guys playing league and trying to raise money for a common cause.
I remember listening to the interview you did with RNZ, and you said it was actually one of the cleanest game of league you ever played.
Yeah,
a lot of people think, what?
Yeah, the only guy who got similar was a cop. He's my best friend, George Wanaman. So he's an inspector. And so he.
Thanks for saying his name live.
I'm just going to out him because everyone knows he's never finished a game. He's always been penalised. He's like, and he spat in some guy's face and he said, "Oh, you coughed by accident." But, so he got sunburned. My friend Dave was playing too, but he's finally because he only got one try and they got 3.
Wow. You got 3. Yeah. Oh, sorry about you. What was the final score?
72-6.
Hoseness. Okay then. And then the funny story, what was it? Yourself and another officer and 2 members of the Black Power were going to take the money, and they made a suggestion.
Yeah. So actually, the guy is a friend of mine who's not Tipa Lavia, so we were in the same. So we went and took the money with these 2 Black Power guys, and we get there, and then they said, "Oh, what do you reckon? We just go halves?" Jeez. Honestly, I was like, "Yeah, this feels like a setup." Like, I bet you the bosses are testing us to see whether they probably told one of these Black Power guys offer them half the money.
So from the police, you go into tertiary study at the age of 40, University of Auckland, and within 6 years, you have 3 degrees, and this is the one I really like the sound of, the master's degree with first-class honours in Pasifikology. Your thesis was Samoa, a Pacific methodology for the emancipation and redemption of young Samoan males in gangs in South Auckland. How does Samoa help? Can you touch on maybe a few points with regards to that thesis and explain?
Yeah, look, I was never going to do a master's thesis. I just wanted to do an undergrad degree so my kids could see I wasn't a dummy. And then I found if you find something you're passionate about, and I was passionate about Samoa, but also a lot of the boys I had known when I was in police, I saw them, I thought, actually, these boys could actually be one of my sons.
Wow.
And the only difference is they don't have the same sort of role modelling. Yeah, a lot of them will join a gang because they're trying to find who they are. And so often our people are the worst critics. So they say these kids they can't speak, they're not Samoans, so they gravitate to a gang where there's going to be a bit more brotherhood there.
Wow.
So for me, it was about, we can do the same thing, but we just need to steer them in the right direction. So the Samoa is really important for these boys. And the gang I used was one of the biggest gangs out south. It was started by a couple of Samoan boys, and that's why they joined, because they said, they were getting mocked because they're not Samoan, so they started the gang. But then part of, I guess, why I found this master so easy, a lot of it was about lived experience. I mean, my wife and I and a few friends got together and we put on a 4-day camp, and it was around Samoa and anything about music, your language, about, whāaro and how you treat people. And we got 15 boys in from different gangs. And the only condition we made was that there were no colours at this thing. There's no gang, you're just all Samoans. And it was probably the most amazing thing. And that triggered me, I'm going to do my thesis. I thought, actually, I've done all the lived experience. And I know that Samoa is better than sending our kids to a boot camp. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That our culture is far more important to them. And we can teach that. And I guess that's why one of my favourite proverbs is that if you fall alamea, so the alamea is that crown fish that if it stings you, it will heal you as well. And so through our own whāsāmo, we can heal our boys. We don't need a boot camp. We don't need any of that rubbish to do that.
What was some of the feedback after the camp from some of the boys?
Oh yeah, they didn't want to go home. They wanted to keep doing this, and so we sort of did follow-on work to keep in touch with the boys. I think at one stage we had like 15 of the boys stay at our house, which is, I guess it was a risk for my wife because she's a judge has ever done that.
Wow.
But they didn't see her they saw her as an auntie and me as an uncle. And you take what you strip away the colours and that, then they're just our kids. They're basically our kids, and they'd all appeared in front of her at some stage. And so she sort of handpicked my participants for me, saying these guys are good because they're actually leaders, they're not followers.
Nice.
And if anyone's going to get out, they'll get out, but they'll bring people out with them. So
talking about leading and pioneering, going back to the force, you pioneered cultural leave when you got your better done at the age of 26 at in your grandmother's village in Apia. Yeah. So tell us, you went to you go to apply for leave for to go get your better done, and what do you hear from the higher ups?
Yeah, I was surprised because first of all, it's my leave, so I can apply for my leave. But I said I'm going to get leave because I want to get my better done. And so back then there was no social media, so I actually didn't even know how you do it. I just knew that I always wanted to get it done, and I'm just going to do it. You get a lot of leave in the police, so leave wasn't an issue. But then I got a message back from the district commander. Yeah, his name is McDonald.
Oh my gosh!
And he said, no, you can't because we don't do tattoos in the police. And so I approached my cousin Tyron, who's an inspector, but also my immediate boss. He's Barangi, but he's like the loveliest man. Ian Brady's his name.
Yeah.
And his wife's Samoan.
Wow.
And she's so we put together a report and put it through to Les McCarthy, who used to be in charge of MPIA back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah. And he wrote a really awesome thing to the district command saying you can't stop him because it's racist. And not only that, but he's not allowed to use his leave. You're going to create a new cultural leave for him. So I got 3 months of cultural leave, so I didn't have to touch my own leave. So I was on full pay in Samoa because of this thing. But what I'm really proud of is it set a precedent for others. So I had a friend, George Setefanu, God bless, who passed away. He took a whole year off on that cultural leave to go to Samoa. And so, but it opened the way. If you don't have to go to Samoa, if you want a cultural leave to go to Tonga or Fiji, then so that's one of my proudest achievements in the police.
Awesome. I saw a photo. I think you visited Ian, or you presented him with a photo from one of your former colleagues, the Whawhunai, David Lomatia, who we spoke with last week. Beautiful photo.
He was a real father figure for me, Ian. And so it was his 80th, so I took him up. So I still keep in touch with the old man. And he really looked after me and my Tongan friend George. Like we were like his sons.
Wow.
And he protected us like we were his sons. So he's a good man.
Now, I heard somewhere, correct me if I'm wrong, you've attended, you've been present at maybe 100, pea te tau or supporting SOA or whatnot, a number of over the years?
Probably way more than that. So,
Wow.
because I've had so October this year, I would have had my pet for 35 years. And from day one, I was always there to make sure I could help someone. So my role was as a Kosi pea, the person who helps them to recover. And I was really touched when one of the kufonga, he referred to me as a kufonga Kosi pea because he said I'm one of the best around.
Wow.
And so for me, that feels really good because people often think that you just got to get guard. But the aftercare is one of the most important things. And if it's not done properly, then people still end up in ICU now.
Tell us more about that. The aftercare is it's something I don't really hear.
Yeah, and so no one really talks about it. But if you don't do it right, then the worst case scenario is that you'll die. And although the last person who's died, he was like 2002. And
so what does aftercare involve after you finish the better?
It's like a specific way to fulfill them. And so social media is funny because I've seen some people do it and it's terrible. Like they're putting the person in pain again. The word fulfill doesn't mean to dig a finger. It means to massage, just firm, but not hurting someone. It's like that saying the alamere, like you're trying to squeeze all the bad stuff, like it's the excess ink, it's the plasma, it's the white blood cells that you don't see. Because when you just see, it's not bleeding anymore, you don't see the white blood cells, and that's the thing you got to get out of your system. And so you got to fulfill someone. And so, like, I have a clear sort of procedure I do. If I find that I'll go to their house, I have a look at what the shower's like to see if it's good. It's got to be in cold water. It can't be in warm water.
Wow.
But also the floor, it's got to be, initially you start every 3 hours you get done if you don't do it. So
yeah. And in terms of the hundreds, if not more, like you being personally invited, family members, friends that they ask you to come along and to support, or
probably a couple of the ones I just sort of asked them if they had someone looking after them, and then they said they didn't.
Wow. So
I would just say, look, if you want, I can do it. Partly because I know how if you try and do it on your own, it's like the guy who passed away. I won't say his name, just out of respect to his family, but his family didn't support him. So when he was getting guard, he was trying to perform himself. You can't look after yourself.
Wow.
And then he got really sick and ended up dying because he couldn't heal himself. And so when I tell people, when you go and get guard, it's like your family's got to be involved. I get that you're the one getting guard, but you need the people around you to support you to look after things. So for me, that's a really important thing, being the Kosi better for a lot of people.
What was the journey for you in getting your better at 26? What led to that?
Yeah, I think I always wanted to. The weirdest thing, you're probably old enough because remember On the Mat? Yeah. So
what's On the Mat? Yeah.
Because the first time I saw Peter was the Rock's dad.
Oh my gosh, Peter
Maia. So he came to New Zealand and he was with us.
Yes.
Wow.
What?
Now the reason I knew him, because my best friend, his dad was the promoter, Steve Rickard. So his son Stephen was my friend. We grew up together. So he got me a job there selling posters. And so I was always around the wrestlers. So I saw Peter Maia with a better, and then I saw Lou Liotta with a better.
Wow.
And I thought, man, I want one better. And then someone said, they're Samoans. I said, are they Samoans? I said, yes, Samoans. And so that would have been probably 10.
Wow.
That was and it stuck with me. And then years later, I just thought, I want to go. I didn't know I didn't even know you used tools. I had no idea. I just thought I'm going to jump on a plane and go to Samoa and find out what it is.
The preparation, but then I always like to the pain. Yeah. How do you describe the pain of getting a better?
Yeah, it's definitely a once.
And how you went through how you dealt with the pain. Yeah.
Yeah, the pain is something I would never want to feel again.
Wow.
It's just like, it's a once in a lifetime thing. Like I often joke, if I woke up and my bit was gone, I'm not getting it done again. It's like, nah, it's not going to that. But the really amazing thing is I realized how strong my mental strength is.
Wow.
Because over the years, I've realized it doesn't matter how big you are or how old you are. So I've had all my friends last year were in their 50s. The two oldest were like 59. I said, it's got nothing to do with your physical ability. It's got everything to do with your mental strength. So like Te Whawhau Nei, like he's 59. He's an absolute legend. The guy's 59. He's got one kidney and he's got high blood pressure and he's still going to got COVID. And so when people say, "Oh, I'm too old," I said, "But this guy, he just proved you wrong." And I know it wasn't easy, but he made it look easy. But that just because I knew when I asked him, "Have you ever thought about getting it?" He said, "No one's ever asked me." I said, "Because I know his mental game, because I've seen him at his darkest." We both have, and I tell people, if your mental game's strong, so it doesn't matter what anyone else says. If you know yourself that you can do this, and you'll do it. So yeah.
Now, you're currently working on a PhD on Pe'a Te Tau. Can you talk us through some of the areas that you're focusing on with regards to this thesis, please, Tony?
So the first thing is I want to let people know is I'm not an expert in Te Tau and the model. And I say the only experts, I've read a few PhDs around, and without being disrespectful, I think it's a load of rubbish. Because the only experts are the Te Whunga. They're the only experts. And what the common thing I found with all these PhDs is that there wasn't a dedicated chapter just to the Te Whunga.
Okay.
I said, I don't know how you can write something like that when you don't have the experts there and talking about and getting it. So that's part of the reasons I want to do it. I want to give a voice to all those Te Whunga who I think do an amazing job keeping our culture alive. But I think my perspective is going in as a culture better, as a healer, but also my biggest thing is that I want to empower our young people who often want to get it done, but they get told, "Oh, you can't do it because you don't speak Samoan, you don't do this." It's terrible, because knowledge is a lifelong thing. Like when you leave this earth, you're always going to be learning. And often our kids will gravitate towards what I call identity markers, like Pe'a and Malu, dance and song and art, like Dave's art, because it speaks for itself. You're not going to be judged. This is why when people say, "Oh, why are kids doing polyfest because they're missing school?" I said, man, that's so important for them to hold on to that cultural aspect of their lives for that small time. So yeah.
It's a good point you bring up. So again, the Pe'a Malu, why are they still relevant and important to Samoans living in the diaspora today, Tony?
They're probably more so for our generation who live in a diaspora, because we live in such a Western society. And so the really good thing about your Pe'a and Malu is one of the strongest visual statements that you're a Samoan. So it speaks for you. You don't have to say anything. You don't need to be like this fantastic orator, which they often talk about. Which brings, there's that problem that annoys me. Ka momo nguku ka roro kingo, which you tattoo your mouth first before you. And it's actually factually incorrect. And I was talking to Ale Wata, so he's the OG of tattoo Sua Ale Wata. And he even says, it's not an old problem, it's a recent one. And these are his words, because I remember the interview, they said it was made by those cowards who just get to get card. That's why they brought this in. So,
wow. Okay.
Because I've seen some of the most beautiful orators speak and have no love for their people. And so you might have all the oratory skills, but if your actions don't follow up. And so, my wife is a perfect example. She may not speak Samoan fluently, but her actions are totally Samoan, like everything she does. And people see that more than they hear. And so we were in Cambodia this time last year for my 60th birthday, and the Cambodians don't even know we're Samoans, but they saw me and my son and they go, "You Samoan, you Samoan?" They just knew from our tattoos. Now, we could have been speaking Samoan, but they wouldn't know. But they just knew straight away that we're from Samoa. And I said, "You know what's that?" They said, "We're Samoan." They're like, "We're Samoan." And so, it's one of those things that will speak for you no matter where you go in the world.
I want to share a little story because you touched on your beautiful wife, Ada. Last year, I had the privilege of emceeing the Pasifikology Lawyers Association dinner at November 2024, and my auntie and uncle were visiting from the States, and so they got to sit with me right up the front in there. And then at the end, after all the formalities had finished, your lovely wife came up and made a point to she spent about a good 10-15 minutes just speaking with them, and I just thought, she was genuinely wanting to, and I was like, oh man, I thought that was very beautiful. So yes, I concur. I concur.
She's good. Like, honestly, she would feel more comfortable helping out in the kitchen than she was sitting at a top table. She like cringes when she sees top tables.
Now, your children, I know you love your children. One of your middle child, Sina, just completed the law degree following in mum's footsteps. Man.
Yeah, we're really proud of her because she's an amazing kid. But I feel sorry for my kids, not because...
What, the pressure from yourselves? Or?
Probably more so from my wife.
Yeah, of course.
Having not only wife, but she's Samoan, so there's bigger sort of expectations on the kids. We don't put those on them, but we see that it happens. The society will put that pressure on them. But I think they do really well navigating the fact that who their parents are, especially their mum. But they got a dad who upset a few people when he was in the police.
But when we're talking about legacy, because one of your grandfather, secretary for the Mau movement, and then another grandfather with the first whaiwhiao for the whakasa in Apia or in Samoa. So when you look at your journey up to now, 61 years on Earth, and the continuation of the great legacy through the Leo Pepe, through the Mata'utia Solomona name, what does it mean to you when you think about who's gone before you and where you stand and the way that you're paving not only for your children but for future generations also?
Yeah, I'm really proud, especially of my grandfather, because the irony is that he spent most of his later life fighting against the New Zealand police, and then his grandson goes and joins the police.
Wow.
But I remember when I went back to Samoa to get my better done, I went to his graveside and spoke to him and said that I joined the police because I'm fighting our fight inside rather than on the outside. And because I carried my middle name is Mata'utia, so I felt like I owed that to him. But I'm pretty sure he would have been proud of me going back to Samoa like I did in 1990 and getting my better done. And he probably wished I kept up with the piano lessons because he was a musician as well. So but my brothers lived that dream that my father had for having minsters in the family. So, 2 out of 3 is not too bad.
Well, not too bad at all. And family gatherings must be interesting. Like, do you get together with your siblings and nephews and nieces often? Like family mafukara?
Probably not as often, but the last one was a Christmas one, and even my 2 brothers who are minsters, they kind of realised that when we're all together, their titles mean nothing to the girls. They just get treated like, let you stew on that. So my kids actually like Dad gets told off like he's still young. So they might be. I tease them, so I affectionately call them the witches of Eastwick.
Oh my!
But they're good to my kids, and my kids love them. So that's all that matters.
Well, hey, Bette Midler was an amazing singer. So Final thoughts, and going back to the very first question I asked you at the beginning of our Talanoa in terms of your current role. What is the encouragement, especially to young Pasifika in 2025, Tony?
To be fearless, and it's okay to wear your culture in a very Western space that we're working in university, because it's still predominantly non-Pacific there. But to look at your culture as your superpower that you have, and that when it comes down to, there might be 10 people who are doing the law degree, the guy with the X factor who's the Pacific, they're going to pick you. And so
Awesome. Well, with that, it is a very big thank you. Whakataitele lava lo sunga Anthony Laime Mata'utia Solomona for this week's Moana Talanoa Moana. Join us next week when we will share another amazing story from within our Pasifika diaspora. Make sure to like and subscribe for more great content. And if you're looking for an MC, you can go to my socials or visit my website, briansangala.co.nz. But for now, we'll get ready for what we already know is going to be the icing on the cake, being a Queensland victory and bringing back the shield this year to the mighty state of Queensland. So, yeah, we just want to thank all New South Welshmen that have been watching. And we didn't really need your company this evening, but for all our Queensland supporters, we honour you. We love you.